Bonjour Jean. Hello Jean.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. I'm very happy to have you discussing with me today. We've
So am
been
I.
oh, thank you. We've been discussing for a few days now to prepare a little bit this discussion. This discussion was prompted by the recent release of this record, this archival recording from
All, yeah, all the music.
yeah, from 1977, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And you explained to me, or I read that, so this was recorded at the French National Radio, Radio France, and the tapes had been lost almost instantly.
Yes. 2 days after. Yeah. I just had time to make a good copy, and then I give the tape back to it was a France Culture, and it's why I explained the recording wasn't so good because they were not accustomed to record that kind of music. It was more for classical or small interpreters and musicians. So, I don't know if it had been the jazz office,
Yeah.
they would have kept and they would never have lost the tape. But in France Culture, it was a little a mess. So, voilà.
For the listeners who don't know, the French National Radio has several branches, and
Yes,
France Culture is the fine one, the one that is more like a bit
yeah,
conservative eventually.
yeah.
And
Yeah, especially France Musique and France Culture,
yeah,
both the main. France Inter, it's more popular and for information.
so what was it that prompted this recording?
Oh, well, the idea came from François Bell, who was in charge with the GRM, from which I belong. And he met a little time ago, uh, John Appleton, who said
The
that,
inventor of the synclavier.
and they talked together about experiments. And then when he came back, and John told him that Don Cherry was very often implicated in these researchers. So when he came back, he told me it would be nice to make a concert with Don Cherry, your tapes, your music, and other French musicians.
Don Cherry, it's true. He did an album, a collaboration with John Appleton in
Uh-huh.
the yeah. I think it came out a little after what you did there. But
Yeah.
so was there any synclavier involved in this one
No, 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 not at all. There was only Michel Rodolphi who owned the Synclavier.
in
But
Marseille?
in Marseille, but in the GRM we have none.
It's interesting because like Michel Redolfi, he did I think an album with André Jaume and Michel Portal with electroacoustic treatment, and you did this one as well with Michel Portal.
After what's the name? Yeah, Turbulence. Yeah,
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 Turbulence.
yeah. And with many different sessions,
Yeah,
different musicians. Yeah, yeah.
and so this recording, if I remember correctly, you did two. One was it was with an audience, right?
Yeah,
People.
with an audience, and it was and uh, it was in our season of concert. But when the name of Don Cherry made a lot of people coming to that concert, so
Yeah,
when we were rehearsing, we heard there was a kind of riot, outside, because there were so many people, so they couldn't enter the concert all at the same time. So the organization came to us and asked if it would be possible to make 2 concerts. One at
Who was it who chose the François Jenny Clark, Naná Vasconcelos, and Michel Portal? Was it you?
No, Don wanted to have Nana and JF, and the other Michel Portal was from François Bell.
Okay.
And they had never played together, Michel and Don.
But you had played with Michel Portal before.
No, I don't think so. Or maybe, but I can't recall.
So that might be the first musical meeting.
Yeah,
You knew him.
Yeah.
And
I just can't remember, but I was quite friendly with Michel at the beginning. So if it was the first time we met, it would not have been so. So maybe I met him before.
yeah.
I don't know, but I never worked with him. Maybe I saw him in concerts, I don't know.
So when I read your memoir, you were saying that the first performance, the first gig, Michel Portal was taking too much space.
Oh, all the time. As soon as Don was was playing, there was Michel, not beneath, but over him, you know. So at the intermission between the 2 concerts, Don and me, we came in and said, Michel, please let Don play. It's not possible. So he was quite surprised, but he knew it. That during the second concert, he played much less, so we could hear Don. So when I got the tapes after, I made a kind of selection between the 2 concerts, and to have a kind of balance between Don and Michel. So
Yeah.
now I think it reflects the music in a way.
Did you do any major post-production on it?
Well, I tried to have more bass, because the bass, the technician didn't know nothing about jazz, so the bass was far away, very far away. So I tried to have more bass and clear a little the music, but I did not make any transformation. No.
No Musique Concrete.
No, except the bass. No.
And what was your role while this was being performed?
Well, I had tapes, so I was running the tapes more or less, and had different sequences. So in the kind of order, and I could change the order of the piece, feeling what was happening, you know. And there was much tape, not all the time, but most of the time.
Had you made the musicians aware of your tapes before the recording?
Yes, we had only one rehearsal the day before in our studio in the Maison de la Radio, and it was very funny because Michel was quite excited, and especially the beginning, it's a kind of opening with space, you know, quiet, and so the electronic comes up and it's more and more sound. And Michel was very excited, and Don told him, listen, be quiet, listen to the music, and, and wait. So we had a rehearsal
Mm.
very friendly, quietly.
So was it a commission by Radio France, or what was the purpose or the origin of the concert?
No, no, it was commissioned by the GRM.
Jérém.
And François Bell was in charge of the GRM. So it was and the GRM, this banning is a special department of the INA, RNA,
The French National
Institut,
Archive. Yeah,
yeah, Institut
audiovisual.
National de l'Audiovisuel.
Yeah. Just, I guess it's a detail, but I remember when I was still living in France, I attended a lot of concerts in Le 104, um,
Mhm.
and most often these concerts were free. You just had to call to reserve a seat, your name. What was and yeah, for people who don't know anything about it, some context. So the state, France, through Radio France and INA, had the mission of commissioning modern contemporary musicians, artists, new work, and then they had a network, Radio France, the national radio, to broadcast it. Was it, as you were part of the institution, how did people go to the concert? Was it for free? Were you as musicians paid for that? What was the environment of that, if
No,
you remember?
well, at that time it was completely free. But now it's not very expensive. It is about 10 euros,
Mm.
to enter, and you have to make a reservation. But at that time, no, nothing. It
and
was
and
free.
for someone like Don Cherry and Naná Vasconcelos, who were touring around uh, Europe and the world, what was it for them? Was it a gig like any other, or was it something? Do you have any idea what was their perception of that specific recording for them?
Oh, it was just an experience, or a new experience, and for both of them, especially Nana and Don. But I met Don many times after he came home. He wanted to listen to the tapes because I was asking him if he would if he would agree to make a record, and he said, "Oh, I don't know, there's something not as good, and one or two tunes from Ornette Coleman, so I don't know. Wait a little, wait, well, I waited."
Yeah.
And then when he disappeared, and we asked his how do you say it?
His heirs.
His heir, and they quite agreed and say, "Okay, do it. We don't ask anything. You are completely free. All what
So,
you can do for Don is welcome."
mm, so 45 years ago, later, um, how how did that come to be? Was it Jonathan FItoussi, who runs the label, who contacted you? How were they made aware of the existence of this?
Well, I don't know, but Jonathan called me. I didn't met him before. Maybe the concert, but I didn't know him. And he called me, and said, "Well, I'm interested in your work." We came home, and we discussed, and I told him about this concert. He said, "Oh, well, I would like to to do a record with it. So I was quite pleased. But I don't think he knew the concept. Maybe he knew it, but when he heard it again, or if he came to the concert or not, I don't
Because
know.
I guess that the only way to know about it would have been to have been there when it happened, or to be friends with you, Portal, and others who might have mentioned it, or read. Maybe there was a review in Libération or something like that at the time.
I think he might have come to the concert. I think so, but I'm not sure of it.
Jonathan, no, he was too young.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Jonathan is younger than me, and I was born in '77.
yeah. So he didn't know, but maybe he heard about it. I don't know about how,
Well, he
because
works at Radio France, so and he's
no, because it was never played in Radio France, the
okay.
concert. No, never. So I was keeping it in my in my archives home. So maybe it's when he came home he discovered it.
Now we can see behind you there's a lot of CDs and books, I guess, but lots of CDs. This came out on vinyl record.
Yeah.
From what I gathered when we talked in the past few days, it doesn't seem like you are listening to vinyl records these days. But you had,
Never.
yeah, but you did have your own label,
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure.
which we will talk about. But did you get to listen to this on the vinyl?
I always hated vinyls because the sound the sound is terrible. And I can remember in I think 1985 when
Hmm?
I first heard a CD. Oh, it was a revolution for me. It was so great. No more noise, no more tick 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 all the time. The same pitch all the time, and so it was a heaven for me. And so now, well, sometimes I have to use listen to vinyls, especially when I made all that with André Francis, all that history of jazz, So
Yeah,
I had many times to start from vinyls or even older records, but I never listened
yeah.
to
You're talking
vinyl.
about a series of 100 CDs or so. You
Oh
did
yeah, 500 CDs.
500 CDs of a history of jazz
Yeah.
um, that you did in France. A very interesting series. Did you do that through Le Chant du Monde?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going to talk
Uh,
about that a
yeah.
little bit. But I can
But
tell you that this sounds really, really good.
yeah.
Of course, I don't like clicks pops, but I love the listening to music on vinyl, and this was really, really a great release. So
Yes. Yes.
I know a lot of people were really, really happy with this.
Yeah. But I'll be happy when the CD will come out.
One of the reasons we're talking today is because I do these videos where I focus on vinyl format, obviously. So
Mm.
I'm aware of the shortcomings of the format, but what the interesting thing though is that if this had not been released originally on vinyl, Jonathan wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, yeah. But I still don't understand all the people like vinyls.
Well, I'll
Uh,
tell you what though. There's a record of yours that I have that I was very happy to find, but I agree it doesn't sound too good.
oh, the first one. Yeah, the
Which
first
I,
one.
from my, what I understand from this must have been some kind of like a business card or
Yeah,
like a curriculum vitae you were probably sending around.
yeah, to all the other filmmakers,
Mm.
especially, and that was very useful because I think that Jean-Luc Godard and Alain René called me after they, not just as they received the record, but a few months later, they said, "Oh, I heard something. It could interest me."
Well,
So
so for the people who don't know, this is a record that has like a little stamp with your contacts there,
yeah.
and there's no information apart from on the record itself, like the titles and the length of the tracks and who did them. So it's basically what is usually considered a library soundtrack, une illustration sonore.
Yes, some different music, who could interest people, and just some excerpts of.
Yeah, we'll get back to it, but
Oh,
no, but to it because of who is on it, and I want to talk about them a little bit later. But
sure.
this was when you started to become or when you attempted to make a living out of being a musician in more than just playing gigs whenever you could. But maybe we should start at the beginning, since you have a long career. You've released a lot of music in very different areas of music history, but also technically very different kind of recordings, not just music. You did a lot of different things. And so obviously, from what I read about you, you were not predestined to be a musician.
No. I wasn't. Well, I started music late. One thing in 1968, 58.
Yeah.
Yeah, 58. I didn't know anything about jazz, so I went to a concert, and I discovered jazz at that time. And
But
it
before
was
that, you were really heavily into classical music, which means you had a
yes,
bias against jazz at first.
yes, because my father, who was Austrian, and he knew music, classical music, of course. So I listened a lot of music with him and by myself after. So that was the only education I had, but I never started any instruments, percussion, piano, nothing at all. So I discovered jazz when I was almost
19.
20, 19, yeah, 18. I was passé mon bac.
Oh, when you were, your
Yeah,
final exams at high school.
and I discovered that music. It was so new for me. That beat, and all the music coming through the body, and the rhythm, the timbres, and all of the how it could sound, and the life, and Charlie Parker, it was fantastic. So
How did you discover it first? What artists was it that you were first exposed to?
what
Quels étaient les premiers musiciens que
yeah,
de jazz?
well, after the concert, the following day I went to a shop, and I bought. Well, I had a good friend at school who told me this and this and that. So I bought a record from Duke Ellington, Charlie Parker, and the Modern Jazz Quartet. Three different music, and all the three, I love them, and I still love them as the day I discovered them. So always the same love, you know.
And you
Because
were
sometimes you listen to a music and then a little time or a long time after you say, okay, and you never listen to it. I keep listening to this music. I discovered already the same way. And, I think it's an eternal, especially Duke or Parker.
and when you discovered that was in Paris.
Yeah, it was in Paris. And so after my parents wanted me to be an engineer.
They didn't want you to become Boris Vian.
No. I didn't know him. But I had no interest. For mathematics, yes, but all the physics, electronic, all that, I was
You were not that interested in
zero,
studying.
nothing. So, well, I had my obviously my degree, so I didn't go to the military service, you know.
Which made you escape the Algerian War.
Yeah, just yeah, and it was awful. And when I listened to the first records, I said, I want to be involved in jazz. And so I say, if I want to be a musician, the only way is to be a drummer, because you don't need, because I had no practice from the piano or the
So you thought
playing.
it would be easier, the
Yeah,
drums.
easier. So I started learning
But
the.
so you hid it from your parents a little bit. You hid tu as caché ça.
Yeah, sure. But as long as I was working, you know, at school and for being engineer, they said nothing. I had my separate room, and so I could listen and work. You know.
Back then, how small or how big was the jazz scene in Paris that you were aware of?
Oh, there was many concerts, many concerts in the Olympia or Playel, especially the concert made by the Radio France and concert by the Europe 1, who made many concerts. And I was listening to the on the network, pour ceux qui aiment le jazz, every evening at 10 o'clock in the evening, during 2 hours, only very good jazz.
Yeah, it's a classic French program that was called For Those Who Love Jazz.
Yeah, by Franck Teno and Daniel Philippaki. Unfortunately, a few years after, it became Salut les copains for the for the pop music, and they made a lot of money with that.
Yeah,
So,
Philippaki shifted from this to the next big thing in France, which was, for those who don't know, a French bastardization of American rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that kind of music never interested me because so far from jazz. So I kept listening to jazz, buying the records, and more and more. I met some friends, music, and we worked together. And I started a little to become a drummer.
Yeah, I think you met quite early on Jean-François Jenny Clark.
Yeah. We started almost at the same time, especially Chaki Pêche, held by Madame Ricard, I remember, yeah, the Shaki Pesh.
Was it?
Was
It's a
one,
club. It was a jazz club.
yeah, very nice jazz club. There was two Les Trois Maillets, it was more traditional music.
Hmm.
And Blue Note, of course, where I met Kenny Clark, who was living in Paris. So I asked him many times to teach me drums. Which, I don't have time. And then I asked because I was coming every evening at the Blue Note, where the boss was let me get in. As you can see in the film of Bertrand Tavernier, Around Midnight. And I was listening first in the hall of the house, of the building, just next to the Blue Note, and you could hear the music. Then the boss let me in many times, so I get used to me, and finally Kenny accepted to teach me drums. So it was very good for me.
It's funny
I
because
was
it's
very
almost like a
happy.
real.
I was his first pupil.
Do you know the story about how supposedly Charlie Parker was stalking Varese in New York in the mid-50s,
Yes,
begging him
yeah,
to teach him
yeah,
composition?
yeah, yeah. Well, they were all interested in of course, in this music too, and yeah.
So yes, so you were everything was happening pretty much at the same time, right? Like your interest in oh no, your interest in avant-garde music. When did it start to emerge, and how was it connected to the jazz, or was it something completely different?
No, completely different because when I was 20, I knew nothing about modern music, about literature, all that. And then I discovered that with a good friend who was a painter. So I discovered painter, I discovered literature and modern music. And I went to the Domaine Musical held by Pierre Boulez. There was a concert every month in Théâtre de l'Odéon. It was very interesting to hear something different.
So it was out of curiosity.
Out of
Curiosity.
yes, curiosity, and so, I was very much interested. And then one day, well, a few days later, I discovered, my friend, a small record, very, very, very small, about, I don't know, about 10, 17 centimeters, record,
Yeah,
very,
70.
very short. And there was work from Xenakis, from Pierre Schaeffer, and another guy, I don't know. And that was too very kind of a revolution for me to hear that concrete music. And because myself, I was already working with a tape recorder to record jazz and
Mm.
to try to make to cut the tapes in different parts and put it on the different ways, backwards and all that. And when I heard that, I said, it's fantastic. So there was the address on the records. I want to see them. It's why I discovered the Service de la Recherche research service from the ORTF,
Mm.
and held by Pierre Schaeffer. And so I entered the group, not at that time, but maybe they sometimes they asked me to come, as I was a drummer, to come for different sessions where they needed percussion.
So when you
So
discovered that, you
yeah,
were were you actually living out of being a jazz drummer? Was it your job?
No, 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 no. I was still living with my parents, and I had some little jobs on the Saturday or Sundays, you know. But it wasn't much. I couldn't make a living
Okay,
at that time. No, no, never.
but you did. I assume that. Okay, so you play the drums, you attend the concerts, you're there,
Yeah.
you love it. So of course you want to play.
I wanted to play, yeah, of course. Well, I played one night with, not one night, one set with Bud Powell because the drummer who was late at the unit. But that's all. But I played, yeah, with some friends or in some gigs, you know,
Hmm.
but not much. And well, it was difficult.
Was there
And
a fascination with American jazz, or was there enough of interest in your own in the French jazz, the French scene? How was it?
No, I was no the French scene. Not at all.
That came a bit
No,
later, maybe. Yeah,
the
like when
mm,
I know that like Michel Portal and a lot of these people, they started in the late 50s, in 58, with the
yes, yeah,
Paris Jazz All Stars
yeah,
and all that. But like during the 60s, Michel Portal had his records on Pâté. François Tusk had some records as well
yes, yeah,
that were
yes,
quite different from regular modern jazz from the US. It was,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I was not so interested in the in that direction. Uh, why? Okay, but no. For me, the beat was I was more attracted by Miles Davis, you know, and even later with not even before with Kenny, and then the drummer Philly Joe Jones, and then the great Tony Williams,
yeah.
and then Elvin Jones. For me, it was God, you know, extraordinary. But French jazz was very shy. Uh, it was okay, but not. There was not the emotion you find in Miles Davis or Sonny Rollins. And Michel, it was different. He didn't play so much jazz. He was much more involved in classical music.
Yeah.
And well, that's one of the rare person I met who was involved as much as in jazz than in classical music, because there's a barrier, you know, between these two worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, he was one of the few jazz musicians that was as interested in avant-garde, classical,
Avant-garde, yeah,
and jazz.
and jazz.
Mm.
And Michel, after his jazz was much more interesting in the coming years, you know,
Oh yeah,
than it was before.
I like his early stuff, but yeah, like the music he did in the mid late 70s and early
Yeah,
80s. Yeah, there are some.
yeah.
And didn't he? I assume you must have inspired him a little bit for like when he started to do movie soundtracks.
Uh, yes. But we became close, you know, with Michel. And anytime he had a music for a film, well, he was writing a score. He came to my studio to record the music, and he was playing all the different parts himself. Well, sometimes, yeah, Jace came, one or two other, but most of the time, Michel alone. So he came many times at home. And we made one film music together too.
Which one?
Pour Clémence, le film from Charles Belmont.
Charles Belmont. Okay. Michel, he did also Michel is known for being an amazing improviser in jazz.
Yeah.
But he did one jazz record apart from the one he did with you, Turbulence. That is, he also did this album where he plays everything called Desjardins Solo.
Yeah.
Which is probably informed and influenced by by you. Then I would assume experiences with you.
I don't know, but very often Michel asked me to transform his sound, you know, because he thought it would give him more extra sound to come out from his instrument. So I was transforming his sound with different electronic equipment, and he liked that very much. So we made many concerts together, and
Wow.
and even he created one of my own piece with that kind too. It was, I think, Citer, very big machine made by the GRM.
Ah, yeah. I was talking about that the other day. How like the big electronic studios back then, when you needed a new instrument, you built it. You didn't wait for someone to do it.
No, it took many years, but at the end it was very performing. And you know, like technology, before it was a building and then a room and then a small box.
And now it's
yeah, and even for us to use it, it was more convenient.
So okay, so you're a lover of jazz. You play drums as often as you can, and then you discover by accident or not by curiosity the avant-garde. And how, from that concert at Le Théâtre de l'Odéon, how do you end up meeting Pierre Schaeffer?
I went to the studio because I told you there was the address. So I entered the group, and it was extraordinary for me to see Parmigiani, Bell working there. And then I kept on following them. And even in the army, I was in the army in Versailles, playing drums in the military music. And every evening at 5 o'clock, I was going to the studio where I had Schaeffer give me a little contract to work.
That was in the 60s,
huh?
That was in the late 60s.
No, in 62.
62.
Yeah, 63. And
were there any other young guys or girls back then doing the same thing you were?
No, there was the assistant of Parmigiani, Philippe Betts, and so we became
good friends of you.
Yeah, friends. Jacques Lejeune was another composer of the group.
Yeah,
but with Philippe Betts, we were very close because he loved jazz too, and
He
And
didn't
so
do that much. He didn't release much music, right? I saw that he did an album of library soundtracks, illustrations sonores for a label called Le Soleil Masqué, but I couldn't find much music of his.
no, because he was a funny guy. We worked 2 or 3 years together for advertising musics and industrial music or films. And yeah, we got on very well together. So we made a real studio in one room in my apartment, and we could work there and make. It was the quality was quite good, and when we needed, we went to the radio during the night to fix something for better sound. But then Philip met a girl in Germany who was a dancer, so he moved there to Germany to for the music, for the ballet and all that. And then she was Brazilian, that girl. And after he moved to Brazil, and no more news. I don't know what happened to him. Nothing.
Was it hard for you?
Well, no, his life, and
Mm.
so I kept on for the music I had to do for a film with Benoît Charvet, with whom I started jazz too. In the the end of the 50s.
There couldn't
So
have
Philip,
been. Yes,
oh yeah,
sorry.
no.
I was thinking there couldn't have been that many private electronic music studios back then, because like there was the one in the GRM. Before that, it's funny that Philippe was the assistant of Parmigiani, since Parmigiani was the assistant of Andrea Almuro before in
Oh,
apparently the very first
yeah, the very
private.
first. Yeah.
Andrea Almuro, for those who don't know, probably had the very first private electronic music studio.
Maybe. Yeah. No, but our studio was very small, right? Just enough to make good copies, and we were playing on, raw recording all the time, because Betts was playing all the instruments, bass, piano, flute, all that. I remember one day we had a music to do. He said, "Oh, I would need a bass clarinet." So we went to Paul Becher, who was to rent the instrument. We took the instrument. 2 hours after, we brought the instrument back to so that was kind of Philip. He could play any instrument. So,
It's funny, yeah, because like
it's very useful, you know.
to prepare for this discussion, I looked up some of the movies you did the soundtrack for, and I
Uh-huh.
told you after that sometimes I was like, I must have missed it because I couldn't hear any electronic music in that. And that's the thing is, I did when I discovered you in the late 90s, and I started to buy the records you had self-released. It was electroacoustic avant-garde
Mm,
music, but
yeah,
on this, I
yeah,
remember you did all kinds of music. There is some kind of pastiche of like fun
yeah, yeah,
classical music on this as well.
yeah. It was, yeah. But you know, I spoke to many young filmmakers, and most of them told me, first, I'm not interested in music. That's the editing girl or man who's in charge with it. Or they said, "Oh, your music is well, very interesting. But it's yeah, too many risks. I always take risk with the image, so I won't take risk with the music." Okay, so that's the young generation.
But back
filmmakers.
then, the young generation was la nouvelle vague. But one thing, just to explain, you were doing these apprenticeship with the GRM. We'll talk also about le Musée de l'Homme, the ethnomusicology aspect of your career. But basically, when you started that studio, it was for you to create a way to earn money.
Oh, some money, but not
I mean, when you did that was to advertise yourself as
yeah,
composers and producers for hire, wasn't it?
yeah. But first, the only money we had, we earned, was to buy equipment. So first music, first advertising music, Revox, then a second Revox, then a third one, and so on and so on. And then all my life, it was about the same. Most of the music of the money I could had earned was invested in technical equipment.
What is on your left right now, right?
Yeah. And well, it was
Because you're in your studio right now.
Yeah, because a lot disappeared. No, but you know, we were talking
the nouvelle vague, yeah, the nouvelle vague.
Yeah, and we were talking about my way to music, and then there was something very important when I heard Tony Williams playing the drums.
Very young. He's younger than you, isn't he?
He was 19 years old, younger than me, and playing so well, so quick. So I said, well, if I cannot be at least the best drummer in Europe, no way, find something else. So it's why I've been invested in the electronic music, because it was easier for me.
So you heard, so basically you heard How to Lunch by Eric Dolphy and you thought, okay, now
the
competition is too strong.
Yeah, one of the first disc record I heard, it was Tony Williams and Jackie McLean. Incredible. So say, okay.
Yeah, that was a game changer when he appeared. That was a game changer when Tony.
Yes. So I was, after the army, I entered the Musée de l'Homme to make a living, because the music I couldn't make enough living, you know.
Can we explain a little bit what le Musée de l'Homme is for the people who don't know?
Le Musée de l'Homme, it's an ethnographic museum, and I entered the music.
Just so people have a little understanding, it's right across the river in front of La Tour Eiffel. It's a big building there that is beloved.
In the Palais de Chaillot, you know. So there were two, and I entered the music department for the département d'ethnomusicology.
How did that happen?
How
did that happen?
It happened because Pierre Schaeffer, Gilbert Rouget, who was not new, but just in charge of the department after André Schaeffner left, was retired. It was in 1966. He was looking for technical engineer to help him, and who knew music. So he sent a letter to Pierre Schaeffer, who gave it to François Bell, and they told me, well, there's someone looking for technical engineer, maybe it could suit you. So I went there, I met him. He received me very, very kindly, and okay, and I had the job. So I
And what
stayed
was
there.
the job?
I stayed there about 30 years.
And what was the job? Because what they did is like, now I don't have any of these records, but they were releasing. It was kind of the same kind of recordings as this, right?
Yeah, but the opposite, because there was not a war between Charles Duvel, who was in charge with that collection
Okora.
of the radio, Okora, and the collection du Musée de l'Homme. No, the collection du Musée de l'Homme was more serious in a way, with a lot of text explaining all that more the
Yeah,
savant.
this
Maybe
was more like a vignette, whereas
no, some records are very, yeah, very good.
no, the music is amazing often, but
Yeah, yeah,
the package that you were doing, that's what was different. There was a much more technical explanation.
yes, and especially it was made by ethnomusicology,
Mm.
because some of the Okara records that are made by people who were there, explorator, or I don't know, who recorded some things, with no more documents, no more knowing of all that ethnic
Yeah,
ethnographic.
they just had to be good at recording. They didn't need to
Yes,
understand the
yes,
music,
yeah,
whereas
yeah,
you tried to understand the music before
yeah,
recording it.
yeah. So my job was first to select and give a good equipment to the people going to the field, many countries, and give them some lesson of how to use a microphone or all that. And then when they were back, to prepare a mastering for records at the beginning on vinyls and then on CDs. And
Mm.
well, so I made many many records. And the other part of the work was to make we created a laboratoire analysis laboratory, of sound.
You did some spectral analysis of the music, right?
Yes, yes, of the music, and well, it was quite useful, and I even used them for my own music to make.
What was the
I, sh-
purpose?
I
The,
should.
what was the purpose of the spectral analysis of these recordings?
The purpose.
Yeah,
Uh,
you can show us.
yeah, well, no, well, you can't see on that.
I'll make you. So what is it? What is this?
All that it's the spectrographic analysis of my music.
Of
So
your music?
yeah, I put some sounds ahead, because the machine gives you analysis with the harmonic, the first harmonic, the second harmonic, the third, and so on until 20 more harmonics.
Hmm?
So you can see how the sound moves. Well, it's very easy if you have only one singer. unless you have polyphony, it's all mixed up. It's very difficult to follow on a musical line.
And
So,
what do you do with the spectral analysis of the music?
but I work with the chercheur, with the searchers, you know,
Yeah.
of the music department, and because a lot of the ethnic music, they do not have our system, musical system, of course. They have their own system. So you can see how the scale, you can find the scale, you know, of the music with the analysis. So for instance, the flutes in the Solomon Islands, the panpipe flutes, and they have the equitaphonic sound scale. So the scale, it's not like our scale in 12 semitones, it's 7 whole tones. The scale is divided in 7 equal tones.
Yeah.
So all that you can measure with instruments, and so.
But when you have measured, what do you do with the? What is the result?
Well,
Do
the
you?
result, it's not me, but the people, the article, they made a booklet or the thing in
So it's
reviews.
about the physics of sounds.
Yeah.
So it's like fundamental research in a way.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And they don't necessarily know what they're going to use it for, but they're searching for new discoveries, and then maybe it will be useful, maybe not, but like
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
And
And
you?
I made this thing, huh?
Yeah.
So there was in a gallery of art who was very interested. So they made an exhibition of 20 or 25 of my. It's not a tableau, you
Yeah,
know.
but
But,
lithography.
yeah. So well,
But
it's
so you work for 30 years, basically producing, preparing for
yeah,
these projects.
yeah.
What what do you think you got from that in your own music?
Oh, great. My culture, musical culture, got bigger, much
Yeah.
bigger, and I used some of the music or the some of the ideas, but not so many times, because no, I've learned a lot there, but more for the culture. I've used some drums, sometimes some flutes, or transforming them, but not too much.
Hmm.
Not too much.
This makes me wonder, considering your background, all your knowledge and your experience, how do you listen to music?
Oh, let's see. Well, I will say first, I'm a jazz, not musician, but a jazz listener. And because when I listen jazz, it comes to the body, to the mind, to the heart, and when I listen to the classical music, it's the same. Music comes to you, even in the body, especially Beethoven or Bach, Beethoven, and I tap my foot when I listen to Beethoven too, and I listen the same way, and the emotion is different, but it's as big as listening to Beethoven than listening to Coltrane or Miles, and I don't listen to other musics. I
But
hate I hate rock and roll music. I don't, because it's boom 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 on the time, and jazz it's before the beat, after the beat, it's moving all the time. Well, tempo stays steady, and and classical moves all the time, new harmony and development. And
it's
in the rock, I'm not talking about variety.
yeah.
The showbiz, except the Beatles. The Beatles were extraordinary, so clever, so subtle. So no, they for me they were very important. It's the only one.
The exception.
Yeah,
How
that's
were they important for you? What? So I guess you were listening to them to like Revolvers, Magic Mystery Tour, maybe these records that have some really interesting stuff happening in the sound and the composition.
yeah, yeah, and even in the like Strawberry Fields Forever,
Mm.
you have electronic music, reverse music that we use all the time in the in the studio. And
Did you listen to these records, the Beatles, before you discovered avant-garde music like the GRM and Boulez?
no, after
After.
Beatles, yeah, it was 65, 60, 66,
So
and
about the same time, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but at the same time.
But would it be fair to say that when you're listening to music, whatever the music is, you're looking for life, the life in the music?
Life and sound and emotion, and I think in music, when you listen to music, it must go forward, you know, not music staying music which doesn't move, you know. It must go forward all of the time, a step beyond, like
So
dancing.
you maybe you don't have too much love for the Lamont Young, Terry Riley, and these composers.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. Well, not much, not much. No, 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 no. Phil Glass, no, 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 no. Pierre Henry, I don't like at all.
It's
I
interesting
don't.
because, like, obviously you were physically and geographically close to Pierre Henry, but and he was a giant. But I think, like reading between the lines, like you weren't close to him, right?
Close? No,
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 he
no.
was a bit of a difficult man, wasn't he?
Well, I don't know. I went to see his studio Absom in the early '60s. He was quite nice. He said, "Okay, go ahead." We came with beds to ask him advice as a thing. Say, "Okay, well, I cannot help you very much, but go ahead." And then I met him later. It was paranoia, complete paranoia. And he thinks, yeah, he was God,
Yeah.
Father.
He had that's
Yeah.
something that is talking with you, and even before what I know from you, compared to Pierre Henry, for example, there's something that we're gonna discuss a little bit because of your label. But what strikes me is there seems to be very little ego with you?
No, why? No, because I'm not. No, and I met great people like Stockhausen,
Mm.
who have such a very big ego, but very nice guys, and his music is fantastic. I think it's like for me the greatest conductor was Wilhelm Furtwängler, especially in Beethoven. When you listen to him, the first sound you're struck. Ah, you hear something is happening. The way the violins, it's all the move, and it takes you. And Stock, Howden, it's the same. You take any music from him, the first sound, you are in the music. You don't have to wait for
Yeah.
30 seconds or 5 minutes. Always. So, well, and the man, I didn't met him many times, but one time we discussed quite a
20
long
years ago,
time.
yeah.
He was real nice guy.
Well, then I must ask you, what did you think of his music, like Stimmungen, Kurzwellen, that were very like slow and not static, but a little bit drony, like not much happening.
No, it's always very interesting. If you listen to Sirius and all that, it's no, it's, no, Kurt Weill, why it's quite interesting.
No,
But it,
it's something I didn't think about before, but for the discussion, because you didn't film soundtracks, you were in classical music, avant-garde, jazz. What do you think of Ennio Morricone?
Ennio, oh,
Mm.
he's a great guy, very
You met
great
him?
guy. Yeah, and he I have a big how do you say coffret in English? I don't
A
know.
box set.
Yeah, box set, vinyls of electronic music, and he was part of an electronic group. And
Il gruppo di improvvisazione nuovo consonanza. Yeah.
yeah, it's quite interesting. No, I think it's a very good musician. Yeah, very good.
Considering what he has managed to achieve, like I've seen movies about him, he didn't seem to have that big of an ego either. He
No,
could have,
no,
but
no. No. Wow, he was very yeah, modest. Yeah,
but what's
and
interesting is people like him who were extremely famous in the general audience,
yes,
and he had this love and passion for avant-garde that most
yeah,
people ignore. What do
yeah.
you think? I know we discussed that a little bit already privately, but now in 2023, Ennio Morricone, he passed away last year or 2 years ago, not that,
No, yeah,
and
2 or 3 years. Yeah,
now you have records like this that are being released. People learn about it. There's an interest and a love for this. You were telling me that you felt that there was a big time, a big period where there seemed to be zero interest from the journalist and general audience in the kind of music you were making or interested in. Uh, I mean, there's always exception, but in general, it seems that it was your feeling. Today, you and I were talking. There will be people watching this. What what do you think of what is the place? What room is there for this electronic acousmatic music today in our world?
well, I don't know. I think I was very lucky to compose and had concert in the in the 70s. That was the well, I know in economic it was the glorious, no, how we say the
Trente
time,
Glorieuses.
yeah, 30 glorious. And for us in music, the same in the 70s and until the 80s, there were a lot of people at the concert. Critics, always. Now, no one. No one. There are less people at the concert. And
yet you hear that
I don't.
music now because of Hollywood and all that, and commercials, TV. You hear these sounds and the tools. Like, for example, there's like so many musicians who do music for screen, for advertising, for movies, who use Max MSP and all these things. These sounds are less unusual now for general audiences.
Yeah. I think it was much easier before. We worked for television, for cinema, all that. Now it's over. Now you hear the boom boom music all of the time. Advertising is shit. Pardon me, the world. No, I think I don't know. Well, I don't listen. I don't listen much to the radio. I don't go much to the concert now. But I think for the cosmetic music, as you said, well, there are still concerts, but I think the young musicians.
You're not too happy with the music.
I think many of them they try to do what we did before. They don't. I don't know. It's like in jazz. It's difficult of a Coltrane. But who is the new Coltrane? I don't know.
Are you saying maybe that when you were doing it in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was total freedom? There was no framework, and the people who are doing it now, they already kind of have a roadmap of how it's supposed to be.
How is what?
Que les compositeurs d'aujourd'hui, les plus jeunes, ils ont comme une voie déjà tracée de comment cette musique doit être.
I don't even know they know that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Because
maybe.
At your time and the GRM, there was kind of quite different profiles. Like you had people like that, Ariel Calma, who came and became part of the GRM for a little while. Then he did his own thing, which he's still doing. Now he lives in Australia. You had, on the other side, you had people like Colette Magny, who were doing getting these sounds in a sneaky way into the audience. Colette Magny, by the way, who worked a lot with Le Chant du Monde, which really is one of your earliest records.
Yeah.
Cycle.
Yeah.
And I guess that now, even if we hear, when I look and listen to the world around me, I can hear Musique Concrete, electronic music in many places, but it's not really surprising anymore. I was having a conversation a long time ago with this composer. The name escapes me. You will help me. The guy from Bourges, Pierre Boisvilder, or something like that.
Boisvillewald.
Boisvillewald. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, like, well, apparently he was part of the very first meetings at the Club d'écoute before it was the GRM. Before this became a theory, when they were when they had no idea what it was going to become. And he was telling me that for him, electronic music was a liberation for the Western composer, pour le compositeur occidental, and it freed you from the 12 tone, the dodecaphonism, and his thinking was that it was a failure, in the sense that in the 50s, 60s, maybe early 70s, there was interest, as you said, but it never became mainstream. It never became that people love it and buy these records at Auchan, at Walmart.
Varese.
Yeah.
Varese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Varese, but not many like him. Désert de Varese and poème électronique.
Yeah. I guess the most successful you is, I'm pretty sure you have opinions about it, is the next release that Jonathan FItoussi is having on his label, which is Jean-Michel Jarre.
Oh. I had him like a student, Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah.
Because when I was at GRM, Guy Rebel was in charge with the class from Pierre Schaeffer, the Musique Conservatory, and he asked me to make atelier or something with ethnic music. So I was talking about this music to the students, and Jean was there. For 6 months, he was a student there.
How was he?
Oh, a nice young little boy.
But was he
very, very polite. Monsieur, you will excuse me next time. I couldn't come. Please. No, very nice. But his music, well, he made his way, his money, and but I think Jarre, I like a lot Maurice Jarre, who's a great composer, very great composer, who worked with the Boulez at Domaine Musical.
But okay, so if we go, because we don't have too much time, but if we go back a little bit to your music, there's one thing that I talked a little bit about, which is your own label, like Celia Records, apparently named after your wife, which released I think 7 or 8 LPs. This is the first record I bought from you. I discovered this in the 90s. And this is how I first heard of you and first heard your music, Year of the Horse. And that was mind-blowing to me when I heard this first. This was some of the very first electronic music I heard. I had heard Bale before and a few things, but I remember, so this was released in 1980. This is, I believe, the second release on your label?
Maybe, yes.
How did that come about? How did it happen that you decided, I'm gonna start a label to release my own music?
How?
Yeah. Why? How and why?
Well, I wanted to, how do you say, that the filmmakers or the people, the ballet, would be interested in different music, different sounds. So I made 3 or 4 records like that, and I sent them to different people, waiting for return. And I didn't have much return. Yeah. well, it was very important for me to exist on a record. You know, if you don't have record, you don't exist. I didn't sell many. Yeah, that was the first one. I think it's number one. No.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I gave three records to, yeah.
You look still the same, huh? You look pretty
uh,
good. Still no
yeah.
glasses.
And well, this no, it was important because I had a very important meeting with well, when I met Caroline Carlson. It was very
Which
important, especially you know. Ballet in the Opera at Paris. It was very
yeah, that
important.
was very important in your career, and I think that there's another composer you have to ironically thank for for that to happen, which is
Yeah, Takemitsu. Yeah.
because
She
if he hadn't been chosen and rejected, maybe you would never have done that.
maybe. And it's funny because Caroline was looking for a composer. She asked Maurice Fleuret, was a good friend, directeur de la musique au ministère de la Culture. And he said three names, Michel Fano, Pierre-Henri, and me, who could make sounds for her. And Fano answered, oh, I'm busy for 2 years. So I can't do it. Pierre-Henri, she didn't work with him because she worked with him once before and they didn't get on well. So she tried me. And
So
then it worked.
Caroline Carlson is a very famous choreographer in modern ballet, and she was doing a lot of creations in the 70s, 80s, and so you just told the story now, but like the first time you worked with her, she was supposed to work with Toru Takemitsu, right?
Yeah. And she 2 weeks before the premiere, she said, no, I can't work with that music.
Okay.
Or maybe it was the opera said it's it costs too much. I don't know. She said no more. So well, she's looking for someone else.
That's interesting. You made me just think of something. Like when I look at the amount of music you have produced, either pure music, music, ballet, film, etc. You seem to be a quite fast composer, producer. Fast, rapide.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's why I wanted to build and have my own studio. Because when people ask you something, it's always not for yesterday, but for tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. You have a very little time. So you have to work quickly. You have no time. And it's true for any kind of music or command people ask you for. And no, but it was difficult because I was still working at the Museum. Well, half-time became a half-time, full-time became a half-time. I was working on the radio. I was making in the network émission. Sometimes every day, 20 minutes speaking in direct, you know.
You were
On the France Musique, yeah.
Oh,
Or
about
Huh?
about jazz?
about jazz and another time about the ethnic music.
Okay.
And I was teaching electronic music, so
In
all that much work, and then my own works, you know. So, but it was okay, and I met a lot of great people, and it was. And I loved working for ballet, for theater, for film, because you meet different people. It's a different world, and I think it's very important too. You must put your ego on the side and work for them, for
Mm.
what they want, for what's for image, for the film, for the ballet. You must, you know. And many composers couldn't do that because I know them. They say, "Oh, they want to change my music or cut in it." Oh, no, no, I don't want that. It's my music. Why? How dare you cut it or something? I heard things from opera directors
Mm.
who worked with a great composer. I won't say the names, but
Henri.
Pierre Henry and others, even in the GRM.
Mm.
And it was terrible. No, you must be au service, hein, au service de. Hein?
Which is, I mean, all these records, the music on these was used or created or composed for ballet, installation,
Yes,
events,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Especially, yeah, and Pierre Salat for La Maison Rouge. Yeah, yeah,
mm,
yeah. It was. He owned the theater, so he said, "Okay, but you make a record of the music too." And so it was a very nice guy, Pierre Salat, who died very few later after. Yeah.
and this
And
here you have your spectral analysis of your music, right?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And with Petrica Ionesco too, I made many. I made few things, few theater music
Mm.
for him. So I think it's good to different all that with
Yes,
no ego.
yeah, and which is
But but for me the most important is of course in my music.
yeah.
There are a few pieces like Les Quatre Saisons, Vier Jahreszeiten. For me, it's one I think of the best music I made, and one of the last one, Symphonie du Ciel, and what's the other? I can't recall the title. On the same record, like Symphonie du Ciel,
Symphonie du ciel, yes.
Schwarzland,
Schwarzschild.
Schwarzland. Yeah,
And
it's well, you know,
so you have
and you saw one thing,
hmm?
uh, except Parmigiani, who I got real well with him, but most of the composers they always do almost the same music, the same sound, the same color of sound, you know. So I wanted all my music never do what I did before. Do something different each time. Try another direction. That was very important to me.
Yes, and the thing though with your music, your electronic music, music. What do you prefer to say, by the way? Electronic music, electroacoustic, acousmatic, musique concrete. Do you care for that?
No, I
No,
don't care. No, I don't
because
care.
I mean there was a big like when you entered that. There's all these records that Pierre Schaeffer was doing to try to
Oh,
conceptualize Um, I showed that one, the solfège
Yeah,
de l'objet sonore.
I worked for this solfège leviation too.
Yeah.
A little, yeah. I worked for it.
So because there was this push to theorize, to conceptualize it in a very scientific way, almost, even if it was a little bit not necessarily completely serious, because Pierre Schaeffer, he was how we, Pierre Schaeffer, he was a bit like un homme du 19e, right?
Yes.
Interested in everything, kind of good
Yeah.
at everything, but not a specialist of anything, right?
No, and even in music, and at each meeting we would had with him, about once a month, he said, "Don't compose music, make étude,
Yeah.
étude." No music, no. But I am not an intellectual, you know. I'm more sensitive and more. How do you say? I don't know. I like to improvise too, and like because I still am a jazz, as I told you.
It's I have a huge affection for Bernard Parmigiani as well, and it's true that, like, of course, so you're a jazz drummer, you're a jazz lover, and all these records. I mean, I love Musique Concrete. There's all shades. Like, you have the music of Francis Domon, which is.
Oh, I don't like him.
But
I
you
don't
see,
because it's too heavy.
oh yeah, that's what I meant. Like, it's super intellectual and almost sterile in a way. It has its interest, and then you have, as you said, Parmigiani, who was trying never to repeat himself. And here,
No.
there's this little record he did. It's a soundtrack for a movie from '68, Le Socrate. And on this, you have Jean-Louis Chotan, Michel Portal, Bernard Vité, which is basically outtakes of his Jazz X or
Jazz
Pop
X,
Academic. Yeah.
Jazz X, yeah.
And it seems that at one point, Musique Concrete kind of left these, these bridges between Musique Concrete and other musics. And maybe it's kind of when you started to do your own stuff on your own side, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at one point, Bernard Parmigiani, he left the GRM, right? He was still being commissioned music by the GRM, but he wasn't part of the institution after '75, I believe, or was he?
No, it was. I didn't get that.
Oh, well, basically what I mean to say is that, like, at one point, like the GRM ID kind of started in the early '50s. It really existed in the '60s. François Bell, he took over from Pierre Schaeffer in the in 1970 or something.
Yeah.
And at one point, everyone seemed to have went their own way. You went to do.
Yes, sure, but we all go our own way. There is not a GRM lines,
But do you still, even if there's that, do you still feel like, is it like, if you were at the GRM at one point, you're always in the GRM? Like, I think you still meet with Guy Rebel fairly often. He's a close friend of yours, right?
Yeah. Well, I was part of the GRM, but only part of it. The other part is not the music club. It's myself, jazz and the spectacle. I mean, theater, movie, and all that.
But because at one time you were still, I think you, Christian Zanesi, and François Bale, you were curating a lot of the GRM events.
Trading?
Curating, tu faisais la programmation pour plus des
Oh, yeah,
concerts.
Yeah, but at last, François had always the last word.
Ah, okay.
He was listening to us, but not so much. But okay.
But which brings me to something that I wanted to ask. Like, I showed Colette Magny. You were close to jazz, American jazz. You did music for Jean-Luc Godard, for Alain Resnais, and all of that. A lot of this was happening in the 60s, 70s, 80s. There is a political aspect to all of this. Was that something that, well,
political?
Maybe not for you, but there was like a lot of referencing to, I mean, Musique Concrete, electronic music was in a way music of the future, in a literary way.
Oh.
And when I look at your titles, and I mean, in this case, it's only a fluke, but like it is still called Maison Rouge. It's not Maison Bleue.
Oh, it's not me who gave the title. Yeah. It's no.
But I mean, even if you were maybe not yourself, but there is an environment in this that is. When I met François Bale, Parmigiani, they never talked about politics, obviously, but still, it's. Don't you think that there was something? I mean, these were political times as well.
Yeah.
For you, it was never at all.
No, it was when I worked for Charles Belmont for his film Histoire d'Art. It was very political. It was just when we were discussing the law for the aborting, you know, with Simone Veil. And he made the film just at that time. So it was political. And his other film, Pour Clémence, it's against chômage. You know?
Unemployment,
yeah. René, I don't know, in Providence.
Yeah, Providence is more surrealist fever dream.
And the other film for Godard, it was political. Yeah, Ici, ailleurs, yeah.
Ici, ailleurs, yes, and these were political times, and I think that the reason why, if an artist, movie director, was choosing music like your music or to work with you because the music was made for these movies, it's I mean, you were not Georges Delrue.
No,
it was not these kinds of movies.
No, and of course, well, when you compose electroacoustic music, it's in a reaction against the system. You know, the music, the right music, it's always against it. So it's always kind of provocation, you know. So
and just like I'm looking in my records here I see this thing, Les Dernières Volontés de Richard Lagrange, music by Tristan Muraille. So that's kind of, and of course the music on this is not spectral music. It's not.
No.
But the 60s, 70s, it's quite interesting to see, and it's quite logical that the avant-garde of cinema was interested in the avant-garde of music and sound. But I guess the result now is everything is more rationalized and
yeah, or different
mm.
parts of
There was
the
one little thing I wanted to ask you, and you named it quickly. On one of your INAGM records, you dedicated a composition to John Coltrane.
oh, yeah, a small part, yeah.
Yeah, was that was a composition from the 70s?
Yes,
Mm.
yes, yeah. Uh,
As
uh,
these movie directors you worked with, often they're I guess the political aspect is maybe that way, that it's not necessarily that they are militant, but they're talking about topics of the day, current um, controversial things that were happening. So basically it means that you had to have a sense of history in the making.
mm,
When you do when you dedicate a piece for John Coltrane, is it um, is there a meaning in that, or is it just showing your affection for a
oh,
composer you love?
it's more affection.
Mm.
No, because well, there are two things. The song I made in the studio, it was really like tenor sax sounds a little. So I made it a little crazy, yeah, and I was affected by John Coltrane's death. For me, he was someone extraordinary, and I discovered him in the early '60s, and always it was tremendous. And you know, I'm playing drums again alone, alone in my studio. I, I accompany all my records with the order in my CD. And now I'm playing with Mary Davis, and I played with all the Coltrane's records. It's
There is
fantastic, and I discovered every time new thing. Is so fantastic. So it's really a genius. And it's not so well known except in jazz. That people don't know who's John Coltrane and his music. So it was so important to me. I wanted to dedicate that little piece. I could dedicate much more to him because all my music to him. It's
did I know that, like, basically I was wondering, like, it's quite logical that if you are doing avant-garde electronic music and you have an interest in jazz, you would go towards jazz. Has jazz ever come to you? I know that you did quite a few collaborations with Charles Austin,
oh
and
yeah
I
yes
tried actually to contact Joe to but there was no time. Like, I wanted him to be here with us today,
yeah.
and
Oh,
but
Joe, he's a funny guy. He's always moving, and he, he has girls in every country, and I don't
yeah,
know where he is. Charles Austin was a real great man. Two very no ego and very professional. He was teaching music in Miami, and a very great guy. Very sensitive too, and Joe, nice, very nice, but
I know
completely
he has.
crazy.
He's been on the record that he has a lot of admiration for you, a lot of respect for you.
John,
Yeah,
yeah, um, he played with the Gil Evans.
yeah.
He was playing with him
And Tony
Oh,
Williams composed for Gil Evans. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Gil Evans, that's fantastic. For me, he's the most beautiful sound orchestration. It's extraordinary, Gil
Mm.
Evans. For me, it's like Richard Strauss. I love too the the sense of instrumentation and
Is
uh,
there somewhere where you reconcile the, I mean, what is so amazing about jazz is, of course, the life in it, the improvisation, how the dialogue between the musicians. When you go to a jazz concert in a small club, like if you love it, it's never going to be awful. It's always, you always are going to get something, or most
mm,
often. But musique concrete, electronic music, or at least the kind of musique concrete you do, I know that when you do live, you have some room for interpretation. But when
yes.
you do the records, it is kind of almost the opposite, or one could think so, but maybe it's not. How do you deal with these two different dynamics?
Well, in a concert, of course, well, it depends of the whole, of course, but especially in the GRM with an orchestra of speakers, many speakers, about,
Acousmonium.
yeah, 30 speakers, and all the whole. Well, it's different, but I think the roots of the music stays in the on the record, and all the intentions you had, the ideas, and is there, So it's not so different.
Because there are drummers, like Daniel Humer or
Mm,
Bruce Dittmas, who try
mm,
to really incorporate electronic music and electronic sound in their own drumming,
mm,
using the Moog drums and instruments like that.
mm. Yes, but it's not so important, I think.
Mm.
No, it's no. I don't know. I don't know. I told you since Coltrane, who's new, who has new ideas. So Keith
Well,
Jarrett, but he was a pianist, piano player, a good piano player. But who has invented and found something new to go further?
I guess we're a bit plagued with postmodernism, which, like, whenever there is something new, it's probably because it's inspired by the past.
Yeah.
Like the John Zorn, he did something maybe new, some would consider, but it was a lot of his inspiration from
Yeah.
klezmer music.
Yeah.
So there are, I think there are, but like maybe the devil is in the detail. Then, like, I know a lot of people older than me uh, would say something like you're doing, but that's what maybe we have to be a bit wary of. Like, it's easy to be convinced that like nothing is happening, because, but what do we know, huh? Like, are you?
Well, what do we know? Yes and no, because if there was a great star, we would
Yeah,
we would know. We would know, and uh, I don't know, and maybe we have to wait for 10, 20 years more. Uh, but there will certainly be someone, but
mm.
when?
But it's, also the thing is that culture plays an important part. There are some things happening in music that are really interesting, but if you're not part of that culture, if you don't have the codes, maybe it would fly over your head totally.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. But now it's more modern music, huh?
Mhm.
And so it's even more difficult in a way. But
When
I
you
don't
were
know.
doing this with Don Cherry and
Mm.
Michel Portal, was there a sense of danger? Did you feel that you were doing something that could be new, that could be um, um, trailblazing, avant-garde, or what was the intention?
Well, in 77, it was a little avant-garde. Now, I don't think it's anymore avant-garde. It's but what's avant-garde? Difficult to say.
Yeah, it's like, and in the end, who cares if we enjoy listening to it
Yeah,
and being
yeah.
challenged by it?
No,
That's all we can hope for.
no. Now look at the history of music, especially in classical, with the serial music. What remains? Few pieces, great pieces, but not so many pieces. So, and now there are more going backwards
Mm.
a little. When you hear new composers, it's more backwards, un peu retrograde. No, it's true. They
I,
don't.
I think, you know, for me, who have I'm kind of I, I I love music emotionally, but I'm also
Mm,
interested in it historically, which you were as well when you did this whole series of like 100, 500 CDs of the history of jazz.
mm,
And I tend to think I've noticed that when during the 50s, 60s, etc., 80s, there was an avant-garde that was official in most countries. Like
mm,
in Romania, you had Dumitrescu,
mm.
Nemescu. You had like people everywhere, like in
In
Cuba.
Sweden, um, oh, the great composer in Sweden.
In Sweden,
In Sweden,
there's Ragnar Gripe, Åke Parmerud.
Palmerud.
Yeah,
Palmerud. It's a great one.
yeah.
Gripe, oh, he's a good friend, but no, more Eke Palmerud. Yeah.
Mm.
But,
But when this is happening in the academy, sponsored by the state, by
yeah.
national radios, there's always also outsiders who are doing it on their own without backing by the state. And both can be interesting to me. Like there
Yes.
will be time when the vanguard is happening more in the academy, and
Mm,
sometimes the academy becomes a bit sterile, and
mm,
then you have to go maybe to
mm.
outsiders. And I guess that when I hear you telling your stories, the people you met, the different kinds of projects you've done, you are kind of both. You were in the academy and you're also an outsider because you did most of your work on your own.
Yes, yeah. Most of it.
Mm,
But sometimes I had to be more academic for the ballet or for
mm.
things like that. It's no, it's like free jazz. Free jazz. I listened on in the end of '70s. Archie Shepp playing free jazz. It was extraordinary. But free jazz, I think it's a little selfish. It's wonderful when you play, when you are in it. But for the receiver, it's more difficult. You know, you understand
Yeah, yeah,
what I mean?
I understand.
It's very, it's very. Yeah, you have a lot of pleasure playing free jazz. I've played some, but to listen to, extract Archichep, it was tremendous. But it happened once, and wow.
Yeah, Jonathan released an extraordinary recording of Archichep in Paris.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But now Archichep is playing more traditional jazz, huh? At the end of his life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, the market, like,
yeah,
like the thing is that jazz musicians, they are, as we say in French, c'est aussi des saltimbanques.
yeah,
They go where the job is.
yeah, yeah, sure. Ornette Coleman too, I think he was very great at the beginning. But when you start playing violin, trumpet, mm, I met him too. Quite a fan in the '60s. Ornette,
Hmm.
very nice guy too. But
Did you meet Cecile Taylor as well?
no, no. Well, yeah, it's the same with Cecil Taylor.
Mm.
Sometimes it's very fantastic. Sometimes you're lost.
But that's, I think also I'm blessed because almost all the music I've heard from you, I love. But for me in jazz and free jazz, it's it's normal that you don't like everything from an artist. It's
No, of course.
and and it's, you say that it can be a bit egoistic and a problem because it's more difficult for the listener,
Yeah.
but being challenged by music is also part of the joy for me, not for everyone, but if music doesn't challenge me, then it's it's not maybe it's not doing completely its job, in my opinion. Like if the ideas of the
Mm,
musician,
mm,
I can get them myself, then I don't need the musician.
yeah, sure. Sure.
But Jean, I think we need a drink now. We've been talking for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well,
And I'm
you
very
think,
thankful for your time and
yeah,
sharing all of this.
you think you have enough? We
Oh, I
too
have.
much, too much, too much. You have to edit.
No, I mean, I could talk. We could continue and talk about many topics,
Yeah,
and it's also nice, interesting that we don't necessarily agree on everything when we discuss stuff that is not just you, because that's what we did. We discussed your music, your history, and the people you met, and of course, like we might have different perspectives, and I think it's more interesting that way. And but yeah, maybe if there's one thing that we didn't talk about, one last thing is, what are you doing these days music wise?
where? What?
What are you doing music wise these days? Qu'est-ce que tu fais en musique ces temps-ci?
Nothing.
Nothing? You retired?
Almost, because my ears get low, low. I must, when I listen to music, I must have aids to help me.
Okay.
But and with the machine, I'm, 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 I'm a bit lost now. You know, I can't recall how it works, or and when I've done so many. I've many records, many things. So I don't feel the use to do to bring one more, which will stay there on the
Yeah, it's
shelf.
true that you have already made so much music that still needs to be discovered by a lot, that would appeal to so many people. Like, I understand your perspective there, yeah. And but do you still play the drums like gymnastic or
Yes,
yeah.
for me, for the independence of the mind between the four members and all that, to count the bars, to all that. And, well, it's just fun, you know. It's healthy.
Hmm. But
Avant-garde.
I really hope that this release will get more people's interest in your oeuvre, and that we
One,
get to discover more from your archives. I'm sure there are lots of treasures that
one,
we have
when
never
the
heard.
when the CD comes out.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that. I have a few ideas. Okay.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup, Jean. Do you have
Okay.
one last word for the people who are just who discovered you with this and might
Oh,
want to go for?
I hope they'll have a little pleasure with
Yeah.
that music, and I have many records, so they can find it. I know many are on Bandcamp, on different support. So
And you were telling me that this is about to be reissued by Maison Rouge, I
yeah,
think.
I think it should be on Bandcamp. No, it's not.
Maybe, but
Oh yeah, it must be.
will it be
It must
reissued
be.
on vinyl record?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on vinyl. Yeah.
I don't think it's yet, but you were the first person to tell me you would know if it's about. So this is
No,
upcoming.
no.
Mm.
Maybe I know. They'll tell me, but it's not
But
sure.
this is an extraordinary record. I think this is the music on this has been really, for me, it has been really a pleasure discovering it back then, and lots of very fun percussive tracks there with. And as I was telling you, for me, it's interesting also because
No, but for me, it's quatre saisons.
les quatre saisons, four seasons
and
of Jean
and
Schwarz.
and the last one, you have it?
No,
No, you don't have it.
I don't have the last CD, no, but
Oh,
I'll figure out a way. Jean,
no, but it's not on sale. So give me an address, mail
we'll figure
address.
it out.
I
Yeah.
can send it to you. So
So
I have your
merci
name.
beaucoup, Jean. We'll maybe
No,
I have an idea for something else we might do. If it comes to fruition, I will tell the I will communicate on that. But it was lovely talking to you. Thank you for
no,
your time, and
no. Thanks to you. I'm very honored. But please send me a mail with your mail address. Huh?
we'll talk right after I end the recording. Don't worry.
No,
Merci
no.
beaucoup. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you soon. Wait.
Okay.